This is ranking US airplanes from a pilot's perspective. For you guys who don't know, I am a pilot. I am commercial rated. I'm working on my CFI. I don't have any affiliation with the Air Force, but I do have a lot of respect for them, as well as I have worked alongside some Air Force people. But anyways, let's get into this. Starting off hot, we have the F-22 Raptor. First introduced in 2005 with a top speed of Mach 2.25, a range of just shy of 2,000 miles, and a weapon system of heat-seeking and radar-guided air-to-air missiles and 22mm Gatling gun. F-22s are, probably top three airplanes that anybody talks about when it comes to the United States Air Force, that being F-16s, F-22s, and F-35s. And you can't really beat them. They've been around for 20 years now, and they're still in the conversation. They still compete with anything that's flying, and they're still absolutely dominating the air today. F-22 Raptors, we're gonna have to go with like a solid A tier. They are some of the coolest airplanes out there. They can keep up with anything that is in the air right now. And their weapons are perfect for what they do. They have a 2,000 mile range. So they can fly all the way across the United States in like an hour. So you can't beat the F-22. They are solid. They are A tier. No doubt about it. Getting into the next one, we have F-35 Lightning. First introduced in 2015, so it's a newer plane. Top speed of Mach 1.6, so it's a little bit slower than the Raptor already, and a range of 1,400 miles. With weapons, we have precision-guided bombs, dope. Missiles for both air and ground targets, double dope. And 25mm cannons built into the sides of the plane. So that's already kind of unique. It doesn't compete with the A-10. The A-10 does it better, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. But we have precision-guided bombs, which is something that no other fighter is doing in the Air Force right now, and missiles for both air and ground. Yes, they're not quite as fast. They're not going to be able to compete with other planes in the air, but probably even better utility. And they don't have quite as good of range. F-35s are solid and they're useful and they are cool, but they're kind of just not in the conversation for the coolest. So for that reason, we're going to put the F-35 in B tier. Moving on, next we have the F-15 Eagle. I didn't really know about the F-15 Eagle, but this is it's a modern, updated version of the 1976 F-15. So they were first introduced into 2021. This is kind of a COVID plane. So hopefully they work good. They probably haven't seen a lot of combat. So it makes sense that nobody's really talking about the F-15 Eagle. That being said, they have a top speed of Mach 2.5, so fastest on the list so far, a range of 2,400 miles, and weapons of long-range air-to-air missiles, smart bombs, and cruise missiles, 22mm cannons. So stats-wise, these guys are intense. I can't testify to their capabilities whatsoever, and they haven't been tested in war, but just based on their stats, they're killing everyone. They're kicking everybody's ass. Not to mention that the utility of having long-range air-to-air missiles, smart bombs, cruise missiles, and 22mm cannons, who's competing with that? They're faster, they can stay in the air longer, and they have way better payloads than anything else that we've even talked about. Now, that being said, I don't know much about them. No one's really talking about them. You don't see a TikTok edit about them, so we're going to have to put them in B tier. They're a solid B tier. For now, it doesn't mean that they won't be A tier or even S tier later, but right now, we're going to have to put them in B tier. FA-18 Super Hornet. Originally came out in 1999. We have a top speed of 1.8 and a range of 1,200 miles with weapons of air-to-air and air-to-ground missiles, anti-ship missiles, so that's a new one. First airplane we've talked about with anti-ship missiles, and 22mm cannons. Considering they were made pre-2000, this is a pretty fucking dope plane, and if you ask me, that's still competing with any of the new planes we have out right now. They get an updated version of the Super Hornet. People are getting fucked. Super Hornet's awesome. It looks sleek. It looks cool. It's been around for 26 years, and it's still competing with everything else. We love the Super Hornets. It's not something that everyone talks about, but there's a lot of, if you know what it is, you know. So if you're one of those people, you know, you know. And anybody who is into the military, into planes, knows what a Super Hornet is a fan of the Super Hornet. Probably not as cool as the A-10. A-10 gets a lot of clout, but I mean, right fucking up there. We're throwing this bad boy in A tier. This is an A tier plane. We love this guy. Utility is unmatched. Speed, range, still competing with modern airplanes. Super Hornet, one badass machine. F-16 Fighting Falcon. F-16's been a fan favorite for 40 fucking years. Originally introduced in 1978 with a top speed of Mach 2, a top range of 1,700 miles, weapons including missiles for dogfighting and ground attacks, smart bombs, 22mm cannons. The F-16 is what everybody knows and loves. It's been around for 40 years. My dad still talks about it. My grandpa still talks about it. I'm pretty sure they still have X-16s in commission in the Air Force right now. Every single air show that has the military involved in it has an F-16 there. These guys are goated. They've been goated for 40 years. I mean, considering that we have a top speed of Mach 2, their speed's still keeping up with modern airplanes. Their range, 1,700 miles, yeah, it's a little lower, but originally coming out in 1978, these guys are still competing. They're still kicking ass. They're still a badass vehicle, even in comparison to modern day airplanes. On top of that, utility, can't beat it. They got missiles, they got smart bombs, 22mm cannons. You're not getting away with these guys. The only thing that nerfs the F-16 is its dogfighting capabilities in comparison to modern airplanes. That being said, when it came out in 78, no shot. These guys goated, S tier. This is going to be our first S tier plane. You cannot beat the history. You cannot beat the utility, and they're still on par with modern day airplanes. You cannot beat the F-16. Everyone loves the F-16. S tier. A-10. Oh, A-10s. So A-10 Thunderbolt 2 or Warthog. I kind of have a story about A-10. So I used to train up in Ogden, Utah. And when you trained at Ogden, Utah, there is a U.S. air base not that far away. So while I was landing my airplane with one of my instructors, an A-10 is flying above our airport. And funnily enough, so when you're trying to land an airplane, you rightfully so need to be able to pay attention. And I'm, 20 feet off the ground, an A-10 flies over my head and I go, holy shit, an A-10! And my instructor hits me and goes, pay attention! So I love A-10s. They're so cool. I got to fly with them. I landed while one was flying over my head. How many people can say that? Even amongst pilots, not many people are saying that, hey, I landed my airplane while an A-10 was flying over my head. Originally introduced in 1977 with a top speed of 420 miles an hour, so not the fastest, and a range of 800 miles. Okay, their speed and their range, they're not dogfighting airplanes. A-10s were made for one thing and one thing only, and you know what? They do it better than anything out there. Weapons. 22mm nose cannon, so the only airplane that has that big of a weapon in the nose. Rockets and guided missiles and bombs, okay? These guys were made for show of force. They were originally introduced in 1977, and we still use them today. We have A-10s in commission. If you're an A-10 pilot, you are a badass. Everybody loves you. Goated airplane. These bad boys have been in the conversation for 40 years, just like the F-16. They are at every single air show. They're the coolest things out there. And you know what? Unlike other fighters, these bad boys are painted camo. Okay? You can't beat it. They're goated. S-tier airplane. It's been that way since the beginning. Everyone loves an A-10, and so do I. F-14 Tomcat. First introduced in 1974 with a top speed of 2.3 Mach 2.3. That is the fastest airplane we've talked about so far, with a range of 1,600 miles, so a little smaller on the range, and weapons of long-range radar-guided missiles, short-range heat-seeking missiles, and 22mm cannons. These bad boys are fast and angry. All right, don't fuck with these guys. Are you going to be able to get in a dogfight with them? No, but they're going to outrun you anyways. They've been in commission since 1974, and they're as fast as anything in the air right now. We like the Tomcat. That being said, nobody really talks about the Tomcat. Nobody really knows what the Tomcat is, unless you know, okay? You got to be in the know to know a Tomcat. They're a little bit older, and I don't even think they're in commission today. Maybe they are, maybe they're not. You know, I'm not an expert in this. I'm just talking from a point of, hey, I fly airplanes too. So we're going to put these guys in C tier because, I mean, we don't really know anything about them, but they're fast and they're useful. So we'll put them in a solid C tier. F4 Phantom, originally introduced in 1960 with a top speed of 2.2 Mach 2.2 and a range of 1,600 miles with weapons of heat-seeking and radar-guided missiles, various bombs, both guided and unguided, and 22mm cannons. All right, it's old, not in commission anymore. It's fast, has good range. At the time, these guys were dope. It's just not something that holds up in today's climate, and that's completely fine. I have lots of respect for the F4 Phantom, but it's just not something that's really competing in today, and out of everything that we've talked about, the Phantom's not really in the conversation. We're gonna throw these bad boys in a solid C tier, and moving on, we have the F8 Crusader, originally introduced in 1957 with a top speed of Mach 1.8 and a range of 1,500 miles. Okay, weapons, 4 nose-mounted cannons, heat-seeking missiles, and bombs and rockets for ground vehicles. This guy's badass. It's a Korean War airplane, super fucking cool, super fast, one of the original jet airplanes that we used in war. Very rich history the Crusader has, but like I said, it just doesn't hold up. I mean, respect for the history, respect for what this airplane did, what this airplane is. I mean, it's still super fast, has an amazing range. 4 mounted nose cannons is insane. Okay, probably doesn't compete with the A-10, but especially for the time, I mean, who's thinking of this? Who's putting 4? Who's putting 4 guns in your nose? We're gonna go solid C tier, but C tier with a lot of respect because we like this guy. F-117 Nighthawk, originally introduced in 1983, but didn't enter service until 1989 with a top speed of just under Mach 1 and a range of 1,000 miles. Weapons, 2 laser-guided precision bombs, all weapons stored inside for stealth. So this is a stealth vehicle. It is cool. Are we getting a lot of use out of it? Probably not. Does it have some weapons? Yes. Okay, some laser-guided bombs, things like that. Very cool. Not that fast. It is kind of an older vehicle, so I get it. Not amazing range, so we're gonna go solid D tier. D tier with some respect. I mean, I get it. All American airplanes have at least some modicum of respect, but when it comes to this list, it's just not gonna be the same. So we're gonna throw it in a solid D tier, and that is the list. 10 of the top US Air Force airplanes ranked by a fellow pilot, somebody who's actually flown in a few of them. If you liked this, consider subscribing, and we'll see you next time.